Alright, and I have the whole tube coupled. It's three 8.5-inch sections, so it's going to be about 25.5 inches long. And you want to look down the center just to make it straight. Make sure it's straight and aligned. There's not many inconsistencies on the inside of the tube. And now we should be ready to start building our darts. Let's get to it. First thing you'll need is I'm just going to use part of the paper from the coupler pieces, the pieces that I used to make the tubes join together. And I'm going to cut a rectangle. Try to get this. Oh wow! All right, that was fast. Mounting that camera. All right, you want to keep one straight edge right there. And it doesn't really matter about this edge, just make sure it's like probably about 3-4 inches away from that straight edge. Cut it. And then cut it about this far apart, right here. Push that away. To make the cone, to make the trailing edge of the cone for the dart, we have two cones. We got the leading edge, ones that's going to be impacting the object. We got the trailing edge, the feathering, the thing that keeps it flying straight in the air, the thing that holds in a lot of the air pressure behind the dart that's being pushed out of that tube. So this is the trailing edge. What you want to do is just find a low point where you want to rotate the cone around. You want to about halfway down through that straight edge. And just sort of, you gotta feel it. There's no real technique I can put into words. You just gotta wrap it around. Don't make it too big. Keep in mind that the cone only has to fit inside this tube right here, so just want to wrap it around, making sure that the tip of the cone is quite airproof. You don't want air leaking through there. Follow it through and just hold it like that. You got your cone. What you want to do now is get a piece of tape. Doesn't have to be too terribly long. And what I like to do is I like to align the corner. I don't know how good you can see on the camera, but I like to align the corner of the tape right at the seam where the paper cone starts, right at the strip as it goes up to that. And try any other method and you'll understand why. It's just the easiest way to do it. You just follow through and you push it down. So you got a nice cone. What you want to do is take the part where you're going to put your mouth, right here, and the blowpipe, not the end of it. You want to force it in there. Not force like as in put a lot of pressure on it, but just get it aligned. Looking at it from where you are, just trying to imagine it being straight, the angles being equal on each side in correlation to the angle of the tube. And just try to eye it out, try to make it straight. And then again, it's just a paper tube. Mark it with your pencil. Take it to the end of the tube. Rotate it. Don't put too much pressure on it. And mark on the cone, using the end of the tube as a guide. Then you got an approximate area where you need to cut. You need to cut with your scissors probably about 1/8 of an inch inwards, depending on how thick the walls are on your tube. What I like to do is I just like to cut. I don't know how close I am to the camera. I don't know how good it's doing focusing. I have a really bad camera. I like to go ahead and just cut about 1/8 inch deeper, and then I like to rotate it, and I try to make it as parallel to a curved line as I can, taking into consideration that it's got a radius it's following, so it's not going to be parallel, but it's cut it like that, keeping it evenly spaced. And to get that done, just roll in your finger a little bit, push down on any parts that may be protruding, making it not a circular shape, and look at it from all the angles. A lot of best benefit of building with paper is you have time to analyze and really manipulate it the way you want it to. You just put it in there. See how much it slides pretty well, like that. It's decent enough, but it doesn't fall out. That's good. You can just pull it out ever so lightly. If not, you might want to trim a little bit. By a little bit, I mean a little bit, like a hair at a time, unless it's really drastic where it needs more. But for the most part, you just want to trim just a hair at a time. You don't want to do something too drastic and really mess with the blowgun's ability. Alright, I got a nice little bit. And for the tube, I mean not for the tube, for the body of the dart, here's the trailing edge. I'm going to have a body going out like this. You want to get a sheet of paper. You can use 8.5 length or 11 length, it doesn't really matter. You're not going to need even more than 8.5. You're not going to need 8.5 inches of this paper anyways. And you figure out how long you want it. I usually try not to make them too long. I do realize that the more weight you got with it, the more momentum the projectile will have on the object that's hitting. But you still want something that's light enough that you can get fairly decent velocity out of. And align it, cut it. And you want to roll this as tight as you can. I like to picture a sucker stick when trying to do this. As strange as it may sound. You just want to pinch the end and roll it over. Try to get it tight. You know how a sucker stick is. Sucker sticks are usually, well, the paper ones at least. I know they got plastic ones now. They're usually wrapped up fairly tight of some thin paper and glued. And you get a really decently strong stick for the size that you have it. We want it so that it has mass, but we don't want it to have too much mass. It's a good compromise between force and aerodynamics. But what you want to do is you want to take your cone. See how it's bubbling up right here? You don't have to worry about pushing it through because you'll need to push the cone through right here. Align it to the center. Loosen your grip on this roll and gently push the cone in it. You don't want to force it or it'll bend the tip. And you want to hold this tight enough that it doesn't spring loose. So you got a nice formed shape. The feathering is going to be aligned straight with the tube. Should give you a pretty good projectile path. Now what you want to do with that is tape it. Most of you are probably wondering, why do we need the can? What's up with the aluminum can? Well, in my previous video, I used the aluminum can as a tip for my darts. Something I've never tried before, something that I never really reproduced after that. But it was a decent idea. So I'm going to show you how to utilize it. Learn this number a little bit better. Alright, so what you want to do, take the can, and this part is I really hate this part, because it's just really messed up. It doesn't seem to follow how things should work, but you just want to take your blade and pierce it. It irritates me. But, it's a personal problem. Cut. This is probably why I didn't do it for all this other times. Really, I only made probably one after that one that I made. Not put on YouTube. Just want to cut a square. Not too big. Just something that you can work with. And be careful. I know it's pathetic to have a disclaimer.